Guys, welcome to my channel Education World. In the previous video we discussed about the characteristics of a living organism. In today's video we'll discuss about diversity in the living world. So if you look around, you will see a variety of living organism, be it a potted plant, insects, birds, your pets, or animals and plants. Also around you there are several of microorganisms that you cannot see with your naked eye. So as you increase the area of your observation, the range and variety of the organisms that you would see also increase. So if you visit a dense forest, you will probably see a much greater and kind of living organism in it, obviously in a dense forest. So diversity simply means variety. So we are talking about the variety in the living world. How vast is the variety and kind of organisms that are present in this world? Number of species that are known described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. We are talking about only those species that has been recognized and only those species that we know about in today's time. This refers to biodiversity or the number and type of organism present on earth. So biodiversity refers to variety of plant and animal life in this world and the community they form and the habitat in which they live. So as we have seen, the number of species that are known and described are between 1.7 to 1.8 million. So let's now talk about their nomenclature, means naming of these organisms. So as there are millions of plants and animals in the world, the names for each of these plant and animals are different or vary by their area to area. We know the plants and animals in our area by their local names, and these local names would vary from place to place, even within a country. A plant or animal known by some name in Haryana or Punjab in the northern side would be named with a different would be given a different name or has different name in the south part or in the east part of the country. So these local names actually create a lot of confusion, and it's difficult to refer that what organism we are talking about. So to overcome this problem, there is need to standardize the meaning of living organism, which means we are providing them a single name, same name all over the world, and that organism will be known by the same name all over the world. This process is called nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly and we know what organism the name is attached to. So, it says that before the organism is named, we need to identify them. So, before the naming of the plants and the animals and other living organisms is done, identification is the step to be done prior to the nomenclature. So different procedures have been given by number of scientists to assign a scientific name to each organism. And the naming of the plants is done by International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, and for the zoological part or the animal taxonomists have evolved International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, ICBN and ICZN. So scientific names ensure that each organism has only one name, and they also ensure that each organism has their own particular name, that's such a name that has not been used for any other organism. So biologists follow universally accepted principle to provide scientific name to the known organisms. So each name has two components. The first component is generic component and another is species epithet. So this two component naming is known as binomial nomenclature, and it was given by Carlos Linnean, a biologist, and which is being practiced all over the world. So let's take an example of mango. The scientific name for mango is Mangifera indica. It is the name of its genus and it is its species. So as this idea of nomenclature is universally accepted, so there must be some rules for nomenclature. So what are those rules? Universal rules for nomenclature. The first one is that biological names are generally written in Latin. So what is Latin? Is the dead language. So all the names, scientific names under binomial nomenclature are given in Latin language, and they must be written in italics. Next rule is that the first word under this naming represent the genus and the second word represent species. Third rule is that whenever the names are handwritten, they must be underlined, or whenever in printed form, they must be written in italics. And the fourth rule is that the genus name, the first word, that is the genus name, the first word of the genus should be in capital, and the second word, that is species, its first word should be in small letter. So further as we talk, it is nearly impossible to study all the organism. So to ease this study of all the organism, what the scientist has done, scientist has classified them. They have done the classification of all the organism. So classification is the process by which anything is grouped into convenient categories. They have been divided or grouped into convenient categories based on some easily observable characters. How? For example, so as we easily recognize plant or animal, or dog, cat or insect. So as the moment we hear these names, mammal, plant, dog, cat, insect, we develop an image, so we easily know them. So dog here is a group or a category, another is cat, another is insect, and other one are plants and animals. The scientific term for these groups that have been classified based on the characteristics is taxa. These are dog, cat, insects, plants, mammals. All these categories are taxa, though these taxa are at different level. How? Dogs and cats are mammals and mammals are animals. So these taxa represent different levels. So based on characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa, and this process of classification is known as taxonomy. So characterization, identification, and then classification and then nomenclature are basic to taxonomic studies. These four components should be in this order only, as so the very first step in the taxonomy is characterization. First we see the characters and then we identify whether as example that is a dog or a cat, etc., and then we classify them by looking at the characters and then we identify them, then we give them different groups. We have classified them, and then we at last give them a name, a scientific name that is unique to that particular organism or that particular group only. Another term is systematics, and it is the wide term or broad term than taxonomy. It not only includes the characterization, identification, classification and nomenclature, but it also includes evolutionary relationship between organisms, means how the different kinds of organisms are related to one another, what is relationship between them. So all this is included under a broad term that is known as systematics. Systematics takes into account evolutionary relationship between organisms.